Our format's going to be that I'm going to look at the areas of attitude and judgment in kind of the non-choreographic areas, and we're going to look at that for about 15 minutes or so. Then I'm going to turn the program over to Lee, and Lee will do the balance on choreography at advanced level and using the right attitude and judgment on that. Have a few points would like to have you to consider on attitude and judgment in the non-choreographic areas. First of all, I get a number of complaints by dancers in different areas, not all areas, but a number of areas. I go in and they say, all we ever get here are advanced workshops. We never get any advanced dances. When can we have a chance to put into practice what we've been workshopping for all this time? And I think they have a valid point, and it's something I think we should consider. Often, I think at advanced we tend to do a lot of workshopping, and more workshopping is required at advanced perhaps than some previous levels. And I think we have to just be on guard a little bit that we don't turn every dance into a workshop, and that we do give the dancers a chance to dance some of the time rather than just workshopping all of the time. And this is something that can kind of creep in and we don't even know it's happening. So in this area, I just ask you to ask yourself the question, are all of my advanced dances workshops, or do I have actual advanced dances also for the people? Second, I'd like you to consider the idea of the pressure that is sometimes put on people to go to another level simply because the level is there. I see many cases where callers put pressure on their plus level dancers to go to advanced because they, the caller, want to call advanced, and therefore they assume that all the dancers should automatically want to do advanced because I, the caller, want to do advanced. And obviously this is not so. Not all dancers will be comfortable at advanced level. And this can often be predicted in advance. We can often see in advance, just by watching somebody at the plus level, whether they're going to be comfortable at advanced level. If they aren't comfortable at plus level, the odds are that they aren't going to be comfortable at advanced level. So do not be afraid to tell people, I don't think you should go on to advanced level right now. Now sometimes that takes a little bit of courage to say that. But in the long run, that's what's best for that dancer and for your entire program of advanced level, plus level, mainstream, and whatever. In addition, in some parts of the country, there is heavy pressure on the advanced dancer to leave advanced and go into challenge. Some dancers particularly, not so much callers, but I think a lot of dancers in certain parts of the country look at advanced dancing as a level to be passed through. And we go through this area and we're here briefly, but the idea really is we're going to go on and go into challenge. And many dancers don't want to go into challenge. And so as callers, I think we have to recognize that this pressure may be there from other dancers, and that if our dancers come to us and say, should we go on to more levels, that we should tell them, only go on to another level when you're ready to go on to another level. The easiest way to have somebody be happy at a level is if they themselves desire to go on. If we say, we're going to start an advanced group, and so you're all invited, and the people feel, well, I better go because he invited me, and if I don't go, I'm going to offend my caller. Well, that dancer hasn't really made the commitment that he wants to do advanced. He kind of feels in his mind he has to do advanced. And that's the same with going on and leaving advanced and moving into challenge. Many advanced dancers are kind of dragged into challenge without really wanting to go there. So I always like to encourage callers to let dancers stay at advanced. Let them dance there. If they never want to leave advanced, that's super. If people never want to leave mainstream, that's super. If they never want to leave the plus levels, that's super. Whatever level the dancers are happy at, that's where they should be. When the dancer says, I now want to go on to another level, great. Now that's the time you let them go, because now that's when they've expressed the interest. Third point I want to discuss with you, and by the way, if any of you have any observations, disagreements with anything I'm saying, don't hesitate to jump right up. And since this session is being taped, we should use the mic. Maybe you all could somebody bring that mic down about halfway, because I know people aren't going to want to run all the way to the back there. So at any time, don't hesitate to just jump up to the mic. When I see you there, I'll stop and we'll recognize you. If you disagree with anything I say or want to add to it, or
disagree, don't recognize.
Lee says if they disagree, don't recognize. Okay. The third thing I want to have you consider is the responsibility for we as advanced callers in our classes to work mainstream and plus calls all position. We know that this is expected of advanced level dancers, that they can do the mainstream and plus calls from a variety of positions. The number one fault I see in advanced groups all around the country is a poor foundation. The people can't do the plus calls and the mainstream calls all position. Whose fault is this? Isn't the dancer's fault. It's the caller's fault, because they haven't been exposed to this material. Now, invariably what I'll hear happen, or hear from a caller, in fact, I was just in an area not too long ago, and a caller said, and this was an advanced caller, said, gee, isn't it a shame that none of the mainstream and plus callers in this area work all position? That means that my advanced dancers, they can't do all position. Boy, isn't this a shame that we don't have callers in this area working all position at mainstream and plus level. Now this caller, his thinking is, I feel, in the wrong direction. It isn't the responsibility of any caller in an area to work all position at mainstream or plus level unless he chooses to do so. CALLERLAB has said this is an option. If you want to do plus level standard position, great, no problem. Mainstream standard position. Call every call from one position only, that's fine, no problem. But when we come to advanced level, now we say that these dancers are supposed to know mainstream and plus level all position. Now it would be nice if when they joined our advanced class they were already highly trained in mainstream and plus all position. This would be great for us. But in the real world, this happens very seldom. I would say 90% of the time, any dancer coming to an advanced lesson class doesn't know mainstream and plus level all position. So whose job is it to teach this to them? Not the mainstream and plus caller at the open mainstream and plus dances. It's our job as advanced callers to teach this to them. Now some callers will say, well, yeah, but these dancers have come out here and they want to learn all these new advanced calls, and if I start teaching them only mainstream and plus and reviewing all these calls they know, they're going to get disinterested and they're going to drop out because they didn't really come here to do that. They came here to learn all these new names. Fine, we have to recognize this. On paper, it would be ideal if we could take 6 months and work them only on mainstream and plus all position, then go to the advanced calls. In the real world, we can't do that because the dancers are going to get dissatisfied. My rule of thumb has always been that we make a balance. For every advanced call that we teach, we go back and review a mainstream or plus call all position. That is the key to getting people to do mainstream and plus level. For every advanced call that we teach, we go back and review a mainstream or plus call all position. Now obviously we don't have to review them all. We don't have to review a do passo. We don't have to review circle right or circle left. But things like the circulates, the trades, the hinges, the diamonds, these type of things. So that by the time we are done giving the dancers the advanced calls, we have also given the dancers a good foundation in the basics. And it's our responsibility to do this. We can't depend on somebody else to do this for us. It's our responsibility in the class to do this. By the time we are through with the A1 calls, we will have had a chance to cover most of the problem area calls in mainstream and plus level, most of the calls that can be done from a variety of positions. This is the key to building a good foundation. And to me, there's nothing more ridiculous than to be able to see dancers do a spin a windmill and they can't circulate from 3-in-1 lines or inverted lines. The cart before the horse. And so that's always been kind of my pet peeve on the advanced classes, that a lot of callers fall in love with the exotic calls on the advanced list. And they forget all about mainstream and plus. Oh yeah, that was before. I'm not going to worry about that. That should be of equal importance with the advanced calls. Because remember, it's like a building. If a building has a firm foundation, you can build on that foundation and have a superstructure. And if you have a foundation of sand, then that building's going to crumble. And that's what happens with the dancers. If they have a foundation in mainstream and plus level of sand, they don't have all position, you try to put advanced level on top of it, the thing becomes top heavy, and the whole thing crumbles. I want to direct also to the idea that it's the caller's responsibility also to use the advanced calls all position. Now obviously when we teach the advanced calls, we don't go into heavy all position. We may use a little bit of all position, but obviously the idea is to get the dancers to do the calls initially. But once we get into our program, the dancers have graduated from advanced class, it's our responsibility to give them these calls all position. Now all position doesn't mean the quote way out, weird, hanging off the ceiling type of position. The fact that a call can physically be done from some weirdo formation doesn't mean that we therefore have to use this because this formation is available. It does mean, however, using the calls from enough positions that the dancers understand the call rather than memorize positions. That's the key. Do the dancers understand the call and can do it from a number of comfortable positions rather than just memorizing positions. What Lee is going to show you today will be a good example of how to use all position in interesting ways without overwhelming the dancer. And that's the key, that we don't want to overwhelm the dancer. Remember that when we're using all position at advanced level, the key, and the key at any level, mainstream, plus level, whatever, but the key is to set the dancers up for success. Have a real interesting sequence of all sorts of all position advanced material. Just toss that out to them all at one time. The floor will have a lot of trouble with it. A lot of people will break down. But if you take a little segment of that prepared material that you have and work each little prepared segment, then go and call your full sequence, that sets the dancers up for success. If you have a card of advanced material, you have 15 lines on this card, and you have 5 difficult, quasi-difficult situations in there, all position, things that you aren't sure the dancers may or may not get. What I'll do is I'll take each little segment, and I've marked it that this has got to watch out for this situation, and I'll sight call these situations for the dancers to get them comfortable. Then, once I've covered each area in sight calling, now I go use the card all the way through, and hopefully the dancers will have success. I've set the dancers up for success by leading them into the all position rather than just hitting them all at once with a lot of all position. Any comments or observations or discussions on this? I don't want to just be the only one talking. If any of you disagree with this or have any observations or have seen any of these things happen in your area, feel free to jump up and share your thoughts with us. A final point, or really 2 final points. Some callers feel that if the entire floor is dancing, therefore the level's too low. And this especially tends to happen at advanced level, where we are kind of geared to say, this is supposed to be hard. It isn't supposed to be hard, it's just supposed to be dancing at another level. But some callers say to them, or have in the back of their mind, this is supposed to be hard. And therefore, if the whole floor is dancing, must be too easy. Nobody's broken down. So therefore, I'm going to move the level up. So we break the floor down, or we break down a third of the floor. Now I know I'm calling hard enough. It's an easy trap to fall into, and we should, of course, guard against this. The attitude and judgment, the judgment of being able to call on the fine line of, quote, challenging, unquote, the floor with good position dancing without mass breakdowns. So just consider the fact and kind of keep in the back of your mind that if the entire floor is dancing, what you are calling at advanced level does not necessarily mean that you are calling too easy. You may be calling exactly what that floor needs. And try to analyze, helps if we can analyze our calling to determine if we are on this fine line. Finally, and the last point just want to discuss is, as a guest caller calling an advanced dance, the best thing to do is to stick to the advanced list. The advanced list is there. It's the guideline for the whole country. And as a guest caller, where we have people we haven't seen before and don't know what their abilities are, the safest thing and the fairest thing for those dancers is to stick to the advanced list. Now, at our home programs, we can do anything we want. We can do all sorts of experimentals. We can throw in challenge calls, do anything we want with our home program, because it is our home program. We see these people every week. But in an advanced dance, as a guest caller, I always like to encourage callers to stick to the list unless they are told specifically by the home group or the caller that has booked them in. My dancers can do these calls other than the advanced list. Here are 3 experimentals, and here are 4 C1 calls that I work with my group. Here's a list of them. You can use these. Fine, great. You can now use these calls because the caller has said our people know them. The worst thing is to just kind of toss in some additional calls and see what happens. And often the floor will break down, and then, well, we've seen what happens, but what has happened? We've seen this at the expense of the dancers, and it would be much nicer if we ask ahead of time. If we want to use a new experimental, we don't know whether the floor knows it. Rather than just tossing it in and seeing what the floor does, it would seem much more logical to ask the leader of the group or the caller who calls for that group, can the floor do this call? If he says yes, now we can use it. If he says no, then we know we either should not use it or we should teach it and show it before we use it. And of course, at any advanced dance we call, any call can be workshopped that the caller wants to use that isn't on the list, as long as it is workshopped first, not just tossed in and hoping the dancers get through it. So just to kind of recap what we said, the idea that we should have advanced dances, not always advanced workshops. The idea that dancers should not be encouraged to go on to another level merely because that level exists. The dancers should want to go on to the next level before they are encouraged to do so. The responsibility for teaching mainstream and plus level calls, all position, in our advanced classes. And also the responsibility for using advanced material, all position, once the people have graduated from advanced class. If the floor is dancing and no one is breaking down, it doesn't mean we are necessarily calling too easy. And finally, as a guest caller, we should try to stick to the advanced list unless we are told specifically that certain additional calls are permissible and good to use for the group. Any comments or questions now before I turn this over to Lee? Okay, Lee.
We have a C6 group out there that's going to demonstrate for us. So will you come up here and as you come up with your partner, and why don't you come up this way and then introduce yourselves to the group. Come on up here. This is a Pat set. What's that? Come right up here, okay? And as you pass by, just introduce yourselves to the group. Tim, you're dancing with my wife. Don't fool around.
I'm Betsy Gotta. This is my husband, Roy. Somebody take the microphone.
Nan Selmer.
Tom Selmer. This is Lilith.
Tim Plow from Houston, Texas.
Orphy Eason from Ontario.
Ted Canals, Pennsylvania.
Okay, let's get right into creative choreography at the advanced level. On the way in here, I passed by Les Gocher, and I asked him if he was going to attend this meeting. And he said he was going to the meeting for survival. And I said, I don't know why he was doing that. I thought he had passed that stage, that he ought to come in here. But I think we missed him. I think he did go to the other one. But this is our group. Most of these people are involved in some form of advanced level dancing. And I'd like to show you some things that we can do with some of the advanced level figures. Sometimes I get the feeling that we don't tend to investigate what we're doing now, that we kind of follow a format that becomes so familiar to you and also to your dancers that many times sequences can be called where you can start it and your dancers can probably finish that sequence before you even finish it. And the only way you could approach this so that some kind of improvement can be made in your calling techniques is to sit down and honestly evaluate what you're doing in terms of certain moves. As an example, have the heads pair off. You're the heads over there. Okay, have the heads pair off, all right? Yeah, they are right there. And touch a quarter. Now, scoot back, just for now. I know, and you know as well, that 9 out of 10 callers will call the boys run after this position. Well, that's smooth. There's no problem with that. But you can have the boys fold. You can have, don't do it yet. You can have the boys fold and roll. You can have the boys trade. There are all kinds of possibilities. So what I'm saying to you is this. When you start to think about what you're doing, if you're looking for ways to be a little bit more creative at the level you're calling now, sit down and figure out what you're doing, because many of us have figures that are memorized and sequences that are memorized. And it could be somewhere along the line you can stop short and figure out that there's something a little bit better than what you're doing. As an example, after the scoop back, watch this. Let the boys fold and roll. The girls move in with a right hand touch a quarter. We have a left hand wave. Now that's not hard to figure out, but it's just we all use the fold and we all use the roll, and it adds another little dimension, a little bit of juice to your calling. You have your left hand wave here. Do a left swing through. Okay? With a left hand hinge and roll the facer. Star through with a girl. You're all facing out. Chase to the right. When you finally meet your girl, hinge with the right hand, and you're in great shape. Let's take a look at certain moves on the advanced level list and show you what some of the possibilities are. Let's start off very simply with a cast a shadow. Now, I'm using moves that are on our list, so I have to assume that this group I hope you do anyway, that they know the moves and that you're fully acquainted with it also. I'm not going to touch anything that's not on the list, and I'll show you some of the different possibilities that can be used when you're working with the cast a shadow. Let's try it this way. Let's have you swing through for now. Let's have all... Yeah, let's have all the girls do a U-turn back. Okay. Most of the time you'll hit your cast a shadow from this direction. And there should be no problem with a group that's dancing advanced. This is somewhat standard. All the lines are facing counterclockwise. You got the girls on the end, you got the boys in the middle. And of course, I don't want to define the move for you, but you know what the girls have to do and what the guys have to do. You can also do this, just to create a little bit. Let's have all the boys for now walk and dodge in the middle, will you please? Notice all 4 boys are looking at now. Now, for the girls, there's no problem on a cast a shadow, and both boys are used to doing a cast a shadow because when you're facing out, you kind of have to shadow the person who is next to you. Now, in this case here, the boy that is on the looking out on the right side, the 2 couples, that's normal for him. For the other guy, the one that's in the boy's position in the center, that's a little bit unusual for him. But in effect, they're both looking out, and they're used to the movement of doing a shadow or a clover to the center position. Now look how nice this is going to work out. Let's have everybody at this point cast a shadow. Boys clover and get into the center position. Let the girls spread apart. The boys flop right in there. And you have this kind of a setup, and it can be done with both men looking out. Now let me just show you one other item on this. Let's have all the boys pass the ocean now. And just for our purposes here, flip the diamond. All right? swing through, and let's have all the girls do a U-turn back. All right. Now, the boy that's looking out presently in the center, well, first let's identify the boy looking in. The boy looking in, raise your left hand, will you please? Now, you know, that's a good start there. You know that when you do the cast of shadow, that boy that's looking in eventually has to come in and hinge with the left hand and then walk out to that space. We all agree on that, all right? Now, suppose you have this kind of a situation. You could have that boy, instead of hinging with the left hand, you can call cast a shadow, but the boy in the middle casts left 3/4. Now, the technique in being successful with that is getting the information out quickly, you see. So get ready, guys, okay? Cast a shadow, but the boys in the middle turn by the left 3/4 and then walk out into that center space. I'm sorry I didn't write the move that way. It probably would have been better off that way. At this point here, let's have all the girls do a U-turn back. So that's another thing that you can add. You can have a situation where the two men that are looking in can cast left 3/4 if you want to create that aspect, or you can have a situation where both men are facing out and then they can clover. Let me show you something that's a little bit harder. The boy looking out, do a U-turn back, will you please? Now, you know also that when you do cast a shadow, normally the people that are looking in have to extend the left hand, hinge, and walk out to the center space. If you agree, raise your hand. You better agree. All raise hands. Good. All right. Now, notice all 4 men are looking in. Now, your problem here is if everybody came in with the left hand, the guys, they'd kill each other. So you have to develop some kind of a traffic pattern. And this is not hard. Just as long as you keep those guys in the center. And because they're used to being in the middle anyway. Now, the idea is this. Tim, raise your hand. Okay, your left hand, and the guy that's opposite you, raise your left hand, okay? Come in there with the left, just those two guys. Come in with the left. No, not exactly opposite. On the diagonal. Come in there with the left hand. Now stop for a minute. Their object, of course, is to hinge with the left hand and walk out to that spot. All right, now you come on back. The other two guys come in with the right hand, okay? Now, if we were doing cast a shadow from different positions, and it was facing, let's say, clockwise, these boys would have to hit the right hand on the hinge and walk out into that spot. Well, they can't hit the right hand and have the other guys hit the left hand at the same time because the traffic pattern is poor. You guys drop out. So what you can teach your dancers when you're creating something that's a little bit unusual is to have this kind of a setup in the middle. If you're doing a cast a shadow and all the centers are looking in, I want all the boys, here's your traffic pattern. Don't do it yet. You'll pass through, quarter in, pass through, and squeeze into the spot, and you get to the spot you would normally go into if you were doing cast a shadow where everybody was in a normal setup. I'll tell it to you again, guys. You'll pass in, pass through, and squeeze in. Girls, you're normal on this whole setup. Ready, cast a shadow. Girls go, boys pass in, boys pass through, squeeze in between the girls, and you've done a cast a shadow now with the boys facing in, and you've also seen it with the boys facing out, and you've also seen it with a turn on 3/4 instead of a quarter. So there are lots of variations just with that one move right there. Okay? Let's have all the boys run and roll, and the girls trade and roll. Now, if you're looking for get-outs, that's another possibility, by the way. Let's have all the girls pass through and start through at this point right here. All right? And couples circulate just for now, and bend the line, please. Start through, and do a swing through, and let all the girls do a U-turn back. Now, this is normal cast a shadow. One of the most exciting things in dancing is to take different parts of moves and combine them. You can have, just with this cast a shadow, look at all the mileage we're getting out of this move. Let's have the girls only do your part of a cast a shadow. All the boys trade, and all the boys roll. All the boys square through 3. All the boys squeeze between the girls. Cast off 3/4. Boys, if you have nothing to do, fan the top. All the girls quarter in, the boys extend to the girls, you're back into some kind of a normal right-hand wave. This dance as well, what we've done is we've taken the girls to do just their part of the cast a shadow, and the boys had done something else. Now, I'm quite sure that many of you use this, but if you're not used to this technique of taking parts of different moves and combining them, you might consider it, because the creative aspect is just endless. Let me give you some other possibilities on this. Let's have all the boys run to the right. Now, we're just concentrating on one move. We got about, how many are on the list, Ed? 53. Can you imagine? You can drive your dancers crazy just with all these combinations on these different moves. Everybody star through for now, will you please? Veer to the left, and just for our purposes now, California twirl. And all 4 men do a walk and dodge, and all 4 men at this point here with each other do a partner trade, just for our purposes here. Now, girls, do your part only of a cast a shadow. All 4 men pass through. All 4 men chase to the right. Geez, I hope you guys can do that. I wish counter-rotate was on this because it'd be a big help to us. All the boys trade and roll, and the boys will pass through, and the boys squeeze in, and now you've used the chase right with the combination of the cast a shadow. For our purposes here, will you explode the line, please? All the boys fold to face the girl, star through, you're in great shape. Gentlemen trade, wheel and deal just for now. Do a right and left through, turn the girl, pass to the center, star through, swing through, box the net, and back away, and I think you're back home. Is that correct? All right, that's good. That's a lot of work there. You know what I'd like to do? I'd like to be the only one here at the festival, at this convention, to put on a little bit of music that you might use to dance some of this stuff. And let's see if it dances well, just on Cast a Shadow, okay? This is a pretty good unit we have here. Jim brought it down. Is he here, Jim? I don't think so. Got to make sure I have it. I'll make it slow so nobody gets excited, okay? Hey, bow to the partner, your corner to the head, star through, now pass through, swing through. Gentlemen trade, the girls turn back. All the couples circulate one time to do, and then just the girls cast a shadow. 4 boys will trade, the boys will roll, and the boys will square through 3. You're going to make it 3, then squeeze between the girls, and then a cast off. 3/4 round to go, and then boys pass the ocean, please check your diamond. Now flip your diamond here, scoot back. Hey, when you get all straight, 4 girls to be turned back. Now all 4 men walk and dodge about one time. Be careful here. Cast a shadow, boy clover, and get into the center spot. You got a brand new something. 4 boys will pass the ocean there, and then do a diamond circulate. Now flip your diamond, please. The gentlemen trade, the girls turn back. Now the couples circulate one time. Now cast a shadow, but the center men turn 3/4. Walk out to the space. That's good. Boy trade, the girl turn back, and the couples circulate one time and bend the line. You go 8 to the middle and star it through. You better veer to the left and now bend it again and all pass through, then a wheel and deal. Go to by 4, now zoom in the middle and the brand new center star through, swing through. Go right to the left and then you 4 explode, star through with the girl. You 4 chase to the right and follow that girl. Want to get all straight, that boy run right. Okay, now we use the different cast of shadows. They're back to a squared position, and you can clap for that group if you like, because they did a pretty good job. Now that's just one move on our list. Now let's go a little bit further, all right? Let's take a look at this. Have the heads pair off just for now. Make an ocean wave. Now we all use AC-doocy. It's a great move. There's a lot of flexibility in it. There's no need to define it generally for us, but if you just look at the definition of this move, it's endless in terms of what you can do with it. Of course, it's a center straight and an end circulate. Do we agree? All right, do an AC-doocy here, just for now. Everybody hinge, all right? Let's have the boys, or extend your tag just for now, and the gentlemen hinge. Are you aware of the fact that an AC-doocy can be done from this position? An AC-doocy is a center and an ends move. And if you're a center, you trade. If you're an end, you circulate. Well, the circulating for the girls at this point is to trade. And, of course, the boys also have to trade. So if you did your AC-doocy from here, watch this. Do it. Boys trade and the girls roll at the end just for now. Look at this kind of a situation now where the girls are ends and they're facing each other. And if you're going to try your AC-doocy, the girls as the circulators would have to pass through, of course, and the boys would have to trade again. Do your AC-doocy. Boys go a half more. That half more creates all different kinds of nice things, as you can see. It creates a wave in the middle. And the girls are out there. They have a little bit of a problem, but we'll fix that in a second. All 4 men do a linear cycle. Girls cross-fold. And you got a nice double pass-through position right here. Let's have all the boys pass through, star through. Now let's see what we had done there. Now this is important because we did the AC-doocy and we had this kind of a setup. Bend your line just for now and just the center forward touch a quarter. This is probably the easiest way to set up this kind of an unusual situation. But in your AC-doocy here, you can obviously see that it's a center and end move and what the centers would have to do and also what the ends would have to do. This is a breeze. Now, before I did it, besides setting this unusual setup, by the way, before you would want to fraction a move like this from this unusual setup, I would make sure that your dancers, before they hit, they're going to be shocked by this anyway. One way you can eliminate that shock to make sure they get through it is to say simply, be careful. Now, that's not on anybody's list, but it should be, you see. And if you just say, be careful, that means right away you're going to alert them that something unusual will happen. And it's socked in right here. But let's assume that you've already told them to be careful, and they are used to this kind of a format. Now, when I ask you to do the acey-deucey once and a half, for the people that are curly-Q, there's no sweat. But the people that are on the ends, on their acey-deucey once and a half, their first circulate is, of course, to go straight across. And half is to do half of the next circulate, which would be the half of a trade. And that will give them right shoulders. And let's see what the result is on this, okay? Everybody do an acey-deucey once and a half. And watch what I say. Check your thars. Automatically we put them in a thar. Now on our list we have all kinds of fractional tops and things like that. So you're socked into nice fractional tops here. You also have other things that are very interesting here. I want you to notice, when you start to create your choreography, what to look for. You can set up a situation like that. You can sit down and you can write the formula, you can memorize it, and it's great. And you got it socked right in there. We had a line of 4, we had the center 2 touch a quarter, and we called the acey-deucey 1 1/2, and you got your thar. Now you know that. You can just write that down and memorize it. But there are lots of things that are in here. All 4 men, raise your hand. They have a diamond. Take a look at that. Now, the men can diamond circulate. We can do fractional tops. If you did a half a top, you would get a girl again. If you did a quarter top, you would get the same sex again. But let's see what happens if we identify the boys in that diamond. Boys, check your diamond, and that means, okay, boys do a diamond circulate. Everybody move along, make a line of 4, and look what happened. We immediately got from thars to these kooky positions, and we created a line of 4. Star through just for now, will you please? Good. Trade by, slide through. Let's identify that again, because that's important. Let's have just the centers touch a quarter. This is what we're looking at. And this is the kind of a thing you look for when you're trying to create. You know the acey-deucey, and this is what I'm aiming for. Everybody do an acey-deucey once and a half. Now you got your thar. All the girls have a diamond or all the boys have a diamond. If you've written sequences that you're calling where all the men are always doing the diamond circulate from this kind of a setup, then have the girls do it. Why not? Try it. But you have to sit down and investigate those possibilities. I can stand here and I can tell you the techniques I use, but if you don't go home and do your homework your own way so that you can get a good feel for it, it's not going to do you any good. Let's have the girls do a diamond circulate, okay? Everybody move along and make a line of 4. You're in great shape. Why don't you start through here, veer to the left just for our purpose, wheel and deal, pass to the center and pass through, pass to the center and touch a quarter, do a walk and dodge, partner trade, and you're back home again. Now that's just with the acey-deucey. Now all of us, let me show you some more things with the acey-deucey. All of us use diamonds. You should be if you're in this room anyway, or if you're interested in this kind of a thing. Let's have the heads pair off, all right? And swing through just for now. And on our advanced level list is a switch to a diamond. So why don't you switch to a diamond, will you please? All right. The rule on the acey-deucey is for the 2 centers to trade and the ends to circulate. Do we all agree with that? Well, you can do a diamond acey-deucey also. You can have the people that have the right hands in the wave trade while the boys circulate around the outside. So do a diamond acey-deucey. Go. And there's it's a broad interpretation, but it can be done if you look for basic definition. And basic definition is this: centers trade, ends circulate, and then you got your acey-deucey. Flip your diamond, will you please? Let's have all the boys trade, the girls turn back. The business of doing the acey-deucey, primarily I know for people that are getting involved in beginning advanced level dancing, is to do it basically from an ocean wave. But we have a 2-face line here, and it can be done from here also. It can be done from a line of 4 facing out or a line of 4 facing in. In wouldn't be so smooth. But if it's a line of 4 facing out, the centers would trade for their trade, and the ends for their circulate would also have to trade. Great choreography. It's a shocker, and it dances well, and you're still within the framework of definition. Watch this nice thing here. Everybody do an acey-deucey. Just the boys go a half more. All right? And the center 2 boys hinge. Now, hourglass, there's your hourglass setup right here. You'd have a little bit of a problem with some people doing it from this formation. However, this is an hourglass. You'd probably have to set that up with an ocean wave. But just take a look at this formation here. Men, you have your diamond. Identify the diamond. All 4 men, just for our purposes now, cut the diamond. Go. Now you got normal diamonds and, well, you got facing diamonds. But for our purposes here, since we're all advanced level hotshots, this is not unusual. See, we're okay. Cut your diamond here, and that puts you into a right-hand wave. But this is just working with the acey-deuceys. Watch this. All 4 girls walk and dodge, will you please? All 4 girls are facing out. This is what we call a 3-in-1 line. You can do an acey-deucey here. It's easy. Girls can trade and the boys will circulate. Let's try that. Do your acey-deucey here. All within the same pattern. All the girls pass through. How many people use walk and dodge? You have no idea what the possibilities are with walk and dodge. Now you know it's the trailing person that walks and the lead dodges. Look at this setup here. This is called a 3-in-1 line. Are you aware of the fact that you can go to a mainstream group? I really mean that. A mainstream group that dances, walk and dodge, and call this. Now they don't know what it's going to be, but I'm going to call it, and you try to figure it out. After you do call it, or after I'm going to call it, you got to give them about 2 seconds because they're going to be shocked. But it's going to be fine. I'm keeping my fingers crossed. Do a 1-by-3 walk and dodge. One person walked and 3 people did a dodge. Set up from a 3-in-1 line. This is what we call about basic creative workshop dancing or calling. To investigate what the possibilities are with that. One person has to be looking in and 3 people have to be looking out. Let's have the girls trade just for now. The boys turn back. You got a normal line of 4. Nobody is upset. Have everybody pass through, do a U-turn back, and star through, will you please? Okay. Center 4 only pass through and all slide through. And everybody here touch a quarter. You can do an all 8 walk and dodge, where everybody walks except the lead girl. She'll slide to the right. Now sometimes, in order for you to plan these things, if you're going to try to shock your dancers, when I say shock, I'm not saying to shock them in terms of upsetting them, but I'm talking about shocking them in terms of keeping them alert with a creative approach that you're taking in terms of this dancing. Now I'm going to do something in the center, and then I'm going to ask you why I did this. Let's have the centers trade, okay? And all eight do a walk and dodge. Now, do you have any idea why I had those centers trade first? Can I solicit? Why, Don? Don, you're terrific. You have a great tape service, by the way, on the second floor. That worked out. We talked about this last night, okay? That's Don Hanhurst from New York. But what I did was, since the setup is unusual in terms of the all 8 walk and dodge, I have been able, that in itself is critical, and they're going to be shocked by that. So I want to ease up a little bit and identify same sexes. So then I can say just the girls trade and roll. Girls trade and roll. That's you, Lilith. All right? And all the boys walk and dodge. So there's another possibility of the all 8 walk and dodge and the 3-by-1 walk and dodge. Now, I can spend 4 or 5 hours with you on all the moves on this advanced list, and show you what some of the possibilities are on how you can create different things to make it interesting for your dancers and you also. But I'm just isolating certain parts of it. Now you saw the acey-deucey. Let's backtrack again from those different positions. You saw how we tore that chain reaction apart, and it still danced well. It cast a shadow. We'll get to chain reaction in a minute. And then. And now you just saw what we did with the walk and dodge. So let's recap on those things. In fact, it might be a good idea if you choose not to write down all these things. The best approach, if I was you, is not to write down exactly what I did, but just put the figures down and go home and investigate how you can approach some of the changes you might want to make in dealing with those figures. Now, lots of us start. Let's move on to another figure on this list. Lots of us start the split square throughs from this position. It's easy to see. Now, I'm not going to teach that to you, but here's a way that you do the split square throughs. Let's have the girls start a split square through 4 for now. Make it 3, okay? Now, did you tag the line, go all the way through, and turn to the right just for now, and bend the line, and let's have the centers only pass through and do a U-turn back. Now, let me show you another way that you can get into split square throughs that's a little unusual. Now, notice I set up the line of 4, so you have 2 men working with each other and 2 girls with each other. And watch how nice this is. Everybody pass through. And do a partner trade, and just the girls roll to face each other. Now, the girls are in a position right now to start your split square through with the guys. This is a little unusual. Most of the time, you'll hit the split square throughs from a position where you're in a squared up set and the heads will start it or the sides will start it. Or you're in a completed double pass through position and you'll say just the lead 2 trade and roll and it's easy. But here's another nice setup, and it's not hard to do. It can be worked. Let's have the girls start a split square through 4 just for now. And of course you could have had the boys trade and roll, have them start, okay? You're in a line of 4, and let's try it this way. Do a partner trade, and just the boys roll the face. And do a split square through 2. Take a look at that. Just with the split square through, just another dimension, and it's not a big deal. Everybody do a U-turn back for now. Square throughs are great. You can square through to a wave, you can square through and on certain hands start other things, which I know you've done. Look at this. Look what's going to happen here. Everybody square through here. The men go 3 and the girls go 4 hands. Now this is a crazy setup here. The boys are back to back. Rather, the girls are back to back and the boys are partners. And what we've done is we square through some with one less hand than the others. Now there are lots of possibilities on how you can get out of this. And I know there are a number of callers out there tag or trade and roll, and then you can start to assemble into some kind of a formation. If you really want to be neat, you can say everybody circulate. Now this is kind of crazy. Now let's just take a look at that. Is that really hard? Now I've tried this with mainstream 2 dancers, and I only lost 3 jobs doing this thing, but it can be done. What I want you to see is this, and you can tell the dancers. Now this is a real shocker, but you can tell the dancers, now think about what you have to do. Of course, if you're an N looking out, that guy, it's easy for him. And that center guy looking out, it's easy for him. He just has to flip to the center. So in effect, all 4 men are going to have to wheel across to go to their next circulating position. Do we agree? The girls, in effect, are in some kind of a column formation. The girl in the center walks straight ahead, and the girl looking out flip to the right. Are you ready? Circulate. Trust me. And look how it worked out. Now, you might think about that. If you have a group that's having trouble with split square throughs, don't think about that. But that is another possibility. Let's have all the girls, just for now, pass in. Everybody star through for now. Good. Center 4, veer to the left. Do a turn and deal. The others roll away. 4 in the middle, pass through. Everybody touch 1/4 and the boy run right. You're doing pretty good. All pass through, do a wheel and deal. Zoom in the middle. Center 4, roll away. Touch 1/4, the boy run around that girl, do a right and left through, and you're back home again. Is that right? Nice going. All right, let's go on and do a, now let's recap again. We looked at chain reaction. No, not yet. We looked at cast a shadow. We looked at AC-Doocy.
I wonder who wrote chain reaction.
We looked at AC-Doocy. We looked at... what was that other one we just... and the walk and dodge. And we looked at the split square throughs as an approach to adding some variety to our calling. How many people here use... Well, on the crossover circulate. If you're calling advanced level dancing, you should. Primarily, you do it from this position. Have the heads wheel through and veer to the left, will you please? Now, when you crossover circulate, I'm not going to discuss definition. I just have to assume that you know how to do the move. But let's just take a look at this. This primarily is done from this position. Do a crossover circulate for now, will you please? And once again, do a crossover circulate. Go. All right. Bend the line just for now, will you please? And pass through and tag the line, go all the way through and turn to the right. Now, one couple is sashayed and one couple is not. I think the best thing to do to make sure that your dancers really understand the crossover circulate is to establish this kind of a setup. Let's have the centers trade just for now, so that they get the feeling of working the move from a variety of positions. Do a crossover circulate now, okay? And as another check, do another crossover circulate. That's great. Let's have the centers trade. Did you ever think of, by the way, I set this up very simply. I set this 2 couples sashayed and 2 couples in a normal setup by having the lines of 4 pass through and tag the line right. And I was able to establish this. I'm quite sure many of you know about this and could have set it up the same way. But if you weren't aware of that, you might log that and put that down. In any event, watch this. Crossover circulate. Boys go 2 positions. Girls do a U-turn back. Now, I had the girls turn back to activate them so they don't have to stand around too long. I didn't have to, but there was a setup where I had the girls turn back while the boys one other position. This is the inverted line setup where 2 are in and 2 are on the ends looking out, but it makes for nice dancing. It certainly is interesting. You can have everybody circulate here. You can also have everybody do this. Hinge and roll the facer and star through, and you'll feel more comfortable now because everybody has the girl on the right-hand side. California twirl for our purposes now, and that was one way in which you can deal with the business of doing the crossover circulate. Now, we all use remakes, or, excuse me, before we do the remakes, according to our list here, we have the quarter-throughs on our list. That's the hinge and the center's trade. Quarter-through is a very flexible move. It's a great move. Most of the time you do it this way. Everybody star through for now. And with the girl you're facing, touch 1/4, all right? This is the way you'll hit the quarter-through. Do your quarter-through for now. Hinge and the center's trade. That's primer. What the heck is going on? I thought this was a good group. All right? Do another quarter-through just to check it. Was that you, Lilith? Did you screw that up?
No, I was good.
Do another quarter-through. Okay. Now, the quarter-through starts with the right hand. That's essential for you to know. Absolutely essential. I want you to do me a favor. Let's have everybody trade the wave without taking a peek, since you're advanced level dancers. I have a thing about that, you know, about taking a peek when you trade the wave. All right. Let's have the 4 that are in the middle and do a quarter-through. All right. Now, the quarter-through starts with the right hand. Now, this is a neat setup here. If you're ever in some kind of a left-hand ocean wave, okay, a primary left-hand wave, 2 parallel left-hand waves, all right? And then you create some kind of a diamond setup right here where the center wave is right-handed, and you say, starting with the right hand, do a quarter-through. The only people with the right hand is the boy and the girl in the wave. Now, the definition of a quarter-through is to hinge with the right, and wherever you can, to turn half by the left. So watch this. The center start a quarter-through, hinge, and finish on the end with the left. Take a look at that. If you're starting with the right hand on that quarter-through now, I mean, if you wanted the wave to do a quarter-through, you'd have to say a left quarter-through because they're left-handed. But the center 2, starting with the right hand, quarter-through, hinge, and then by the left. And that's neat. That works out real good. Everybody, just for now, cut your diamonds. Well, that's good. Do another quarter-through. All the girls fold behind the guys, boys pass through, and star through with the girl. This is great for setting up diamonds. All the girls quarter through, and you're in pretty good shape. Are you aware of the fact that you can also do a diamond quarter through? And if we just figure what it is, a quarter through is to turn 1/4, and then where you can, turn half by the left. And if you have a diamond, and you say do a diamond quarter through, you turn your diamond 1/4, do that, and the center's turned by the left. And that's neat. You can do a diamond 3/4 through, which is a little bit harder, because 3/4 through is on our advanced list also. And the 3/4 through means you'd have to turn your diamond how many positions? 3. Okay. Turn your diamond 3. And it might be some help where you say a girl is going to turn a girl to finish with the left hand. And you've done diamond quarter throughs. Flip the diamond just for now. All the girls do you turn back, and that looks great. Just for our purposes, bend the line and all touch quarter. You can do grand quarter throughs from columns. This is the way you create and investigate what the possibilities are. So a grand quarter through would be all hinge, and those who can turn by the left. And you got some great stuff. On each side you have 2 waves, is that correct? Shh. On each side 2 waves. Switch each wave. Go. Nice dancing, guys. And let's have all the couples, this will shock you for a minute, on each side, lock it. Each side, yes. Good job, all right? Most of the time you'll lock from ocean waves, but you can also lock from 2 face lines. As couples, you can do a quarter through. All right, let the couples hinge as couples, and the centers as couples wheel across, and you got some nice stuff right there. Each side, just for now, do a half tag. All 8 do 1/2 of an all 8 circulate. The center 6 circulate. The same 6 quarter through, hinge, and 2 boys trade. All 4 men in your left-hand wave. Trade the wave, girls bend the line. Boys lock it, boys extend to the girls, and you got some nice dancing there. Now, why did I have the girls bend the line there? Anybody know? To give the boys a little bit more room, not on the stage, but you probably have some crowded positions, you know, in wherever you might be calling. But it also activated them while the boys are doing something else. All the boys run around that girl. You're in great shape. Pass through, do a wheel and deal. Center 4 star through, back away, and you got pay dirt. We all use remakes, another call on our list. You probably use it from the Alamandar position. Oh, let me get to one other thing. All 4 girls do a U-turn back, will you please? All right, make an Alamo ring. Starting with the right hand, you can do quarter through some Alamo rings, and it's great. Now, you got everybody involved here. In this kind of a setup, on a regular quarter through, you hinge and 2 people turn by the left. We agree. If you're an Alamo ring and you say all 8 do a quarter through, everybody hinge, and all 4 men star across, and you're in great shape. Right there. Taking this quarter through again from this Dhar position is hard because the first move is quick. And you can call the quarter through starting with the right hand, where you would do this, hinge to an Alamo and with a left hand trade. And you're in great shape. We all call remakes from Dhars. You can call a remake starting with the right hand from an Alamo ring. Now the remake definition is a quarter, half, and 3/4. Do we agree? Watch this. From an Alamo, and you have to say starting with the right because you have your option on left and right. If you wanted to have a left-handed setup, then you have to say starting with the left, remake the Alamo. But now what you've done is you've taken this little move quarter through. You've done it into diamonds. You've done it from columns. You also did it from we had the column of 6. We've started it where you had a wave in the middle, start it and finish it with 2 points of a diamond, just with the quarter through. You can have a great workshop material. You can start in September on quarter through and run right through December just on that one move. Now let's go into this remake from the Alamo, starting with the right, hinge. Boys star 3/4, and you better keep your head up. No, excuse me, a half. And then cast 3/4, bring them right into the Alamo. Starting with the left hand, remake, hinge, star half across. With the left hand, cast 3, bring them right back into the Alamo. You're in great shape. All the girls do, you turn back, circle to the right 1/4, and you've accomplished nothing at this point. But that's what we talk about when we talk about creative choreography at the advanced level, at any level. It doesn't matter what you're calling. What you have to do is investigate what those possibilities are. Now, I can tell you, Ed can tell you, Jack can be up here and tell you, Fisk and also Jerry Schatzer, but it has to come from within. There's just so much work that we can do for you. We have to just light that spark so that somewhere along the line you're going to say to yourselves, geez, I'm tired of doing this. My guys are tired of doing this. What else can be done to make this a little bit more interesting? Part of our advanced level moves involve the locket as an example. And that's mostly done this way. Have the heads pair off and make an ocean wave, okay? All your lockets probably are done from this position. Do your locket, will you please? Did you ever think about doing this? Do a grand swing through just for now. And the center wave only, identify yourselves. Lock it. Now, why did I do the grand swing through first? Does anybody know? Can anybody tell me? To get that center wave more from a normal type wave. Exactly, to get the center wave normal. Because this idea is a shocker again. But it's good. It has possibilities. Now, once they're used to this kind of a format, then you won't have to do the grand swing through. If you can lock it with 4 girls or sashay or 4 guys, that's okay. But at least set them up in such a way so that they won't break, because this can be done. And notice what I said to them. I said to them, the center wave, identify yourselves. That isolates it. So we take the shock away a little bit, and they'll probably function well. This gives you a Dhar, terrific Dhar. All 8 do a half a top, turn right, move 2. By the way, anytime you might log this, anytime you can set up a Dhar where the 2 crossed waves has 1 set of boys in it and another set of girls in it, you can normalize the setup by having one of the sexes run. I'll show you what I mean. Okay? Let's have all 4 men run. Move along to the next couple and make a line of 4. Now, you can't do that if you had all 4 men in the middle or all 4 girls on the end. You can't do that possibility when I say to move along and make a line of 4. Most of your fractional tops are done where you have either all 4 men in the middle or all 4 girls on the end. But if you're in a situation where you have 2 men or 2 girls in the middle, you can have one of the sexes run, move along, got a line of 4, you're in great shape. Star through. Veer left, will you please? Do a Ferris wheel, center sweep a quarter. The others come down the middle and star through. Pass through and make an ocean wave. The definition of linear cycle is to hinge if you're looking out, fold, go all the way down like a DPT and peel to the right. The first move is to do a single hinge. Do we agree? Go. Hinge, girl fold behind the guy, follow him down, pass right shoulders and peel to the right. Everybody know that move? You're aware of it. It's being published. It's a terrific move. The critical thing on the linear cycle is that it starts, and this is great, it starts with the single hinge. That's fantastic. And I'll tell you why. Star through. Veer to the left. Even though we recommend that for the mainstream dancer, this be done only for motion waves, you can go one step further as an advanced level caller. And you got it socked right in here. First move is the single hinge. Do we agree? Hinge. If you're looking out, fold. Follow them down, peel to the right. That was from a two-phase line. You can't recycle from a two-phase line. But now, with the linear cycle, you can do it from any kind of a line formation. I don't care what it is. A line of four facing out, a two-phase line, a 3-in-1 line, doesn't matter to me. A great move. No question about it. Pass the ocean, please. All four girls do a walk and dodge. 3-in-1 line. 3-in-1. What did I call before from a 3-in-1 line that was so unusual? Does anybody remember? 1x3 walk and dodge. Log that, because that's not too hard to set up. That's a good one. Here, on your single hinge, I mean, a hinge is a hinge. You're going to end up holding the girl next to you in a little bit of a mini wave. But your linear cycle can be done from here. Do a partner hinge. If you're looking out, fold, follow them down, and peel to the right. And you're in great shape. I don't want to get into the grand linear cycle. I just want to concentrate on the basic linear cycle. But here in your ocean wave here, make an ocean wave. Each side, each wave, do a linear cycle. Hinge, girl fold behind the guy, pass them right down and peel to the right. And now at this point here, you're in an 8-chain through position. Pass the ocean for now. Do a grand swing through. Okay? Just the center wave only. Linear cycle while the others box the gnat and slide through. Now you can add all kinds of things with it. That's a great move. There's no question about that. Now that's just with linear cycle. The grand is another thing. There's no reason for us to get into that now. So we talked about the cast a shadow possibilities. We talked about the linear cycle. I showed you the AC-deuces. I showed you the locket, the crossover circulate. These are other things that we had down. And these are things that I do in order to be creative. I'm not happy with keeping things as they are all the time. That's my basic personality. I get up at 6:30 in the morning, I write material, I go to school, I come home, I play racquetball, and I go out and I call the dance. That's the nature of my personality. I don't know why I'm driven that way, but I just like to do that, and I like to add. She drives me that way. I knew there was some reason that way. But I hope that in some way that I've been able to touch base with you as far as trying to light that spark that will help you to look for something that's a little bit different. Somewhere along the line where you can say to yourself, hey, can I do a little bit more? I mean, is there something else I can add that makes this more exciting? And that's my presentation. Are there any questions? Yes. Should we keep the square up here? Oh, by the way, before I hit you with the question, okay? I had said something to a very good friend of mine from Long Island who got into calling about 4 or 5 years ago, that I would solicit some things from you that I don't know about, that a lot of the guys that are really heavy into this stuff that don't know about. And I just want to experiment. I'm pretty sure it's going to work out. Have the centers pass through and make an ocean wave. Now, the AC-deuce, I showed you all the different possibilities. Is there anybody here on the floor that does something other with the AC-deuce that we haven't done yet, that you can tell us about? Yes, Joe?
The fractionalizing. Go 1.5, so you have a 6-hand wave down the center.
Uh-huh. All right, do it. AC-deuce 1.5. All right. Okay.
You have a diamond through the center there, and you have the wave of 6 to the swing through.
Okay, do the wave of 6 doing the swing through. You got the boys in the diamond, you got the girls in the dar, which is good. But flip that center diamond, by the way, all right? There's your dars, 2 4 men, 4 girls. Great thing. Let me tell you something, okay? But that's I didn't mention that before, but I'm quite sure that you could pick up something from that bit that he just did. I know lots of us use that, the AC-Doocy 1.5. But when you're starting to investigate and start to do these things on the AC-Doocy 1.5, and you fix this thing in your mind, and you're in that position, and you say, well, we flipped the diamond, we've got 2 boys, 2 girls, I think I'll call a fractional top or whatever the case is. Try to figure out what else can be done. What would you call from here?
Other than tops,
Yeah.
girls in,
Girls hinge?
boys trade the wave.
Go ahead. Why are you doing that? Tell them.
Well, that way we get center 6 lined up, go in the same direction. You can have the center 6 walking down.
Center 6, identify. Walk and dodge. Good. Okay, what he's doing is creating at this point here with the AC-Doocy, and that was the initial point, which is good. Now let's have the outside 2 trade, will you please? In the wave, do me a favor, explode star through. Do a right and left through, turn the girl past the center, and stop right there. That's good. And I'm quite sure there are other things that other guys have. There's one other item here that I wanted to tell you about, and that has to be with the business of substituting. All right, substitute, will you please? That's easy enough. Have the center slide through. Touch a quarter. Well, the whole idea of the substitute is bring the outside couples into the center. Do we agree? Okay. This is another shocker, but it's creative, and you get their attention in 1 second. Center people are curly-cued. Substitute. Raise their hands, let the outside people come in. Very interesting. Let's have the girl on the outside do a U-turn back. Watch this shocker. Center 4 slide through. And the same 4 touch a quarter. No, I didn't want to do that. Well, do a walk and dodge just for now, okay? And trade. All right. Now touch a quarter. Watch this. I think they can see from here, okay? We have the centers, right? The centers are working lateral. Drop hands. The outside people will substitute into the center, and the center people will slide out. Substitute. The other way, Orff. Good girl. Okay. That's a real shocker. You have to use the word lateral. But it's interesting. Get you lots of jobs, cancel lots of jobs, all kinds of things. Any way you want to go, it'll take you. But then again, all you have to do is show them once, you see? And you'll get their immediate attention. There's no question about that. But that was a lateral substitute. And it's great. It's lots of fun. Let's have the center 4 star through, and the center 4 pass the ocean, and you got your diamonds. Take a look at your diamonds. Flip the diamond, okay? You're in good shape. Centers trade. All 4 girls do a U-turn back. Everybody star it through. Veer to the left. All right. You want a Ferris wheel? Centers sweep a quarter. Come down for a right and left through. I wish I could have the others reverse swap, but I can't do that. The others come in and star through, veer to the left, and bend the line. Let's have some more, maybe some suggestions on things they do. Is there anybody that does something other with, say, a move like cast a shadow? Or anything different than what we've done here with some of the moves that we presented? The walk and down. Yes, Bruce. Want to approach the mic, please?
Well, your basic spread on your AC-Doocy first is another one.
Okay, that's good. Have the heads pair off. Make an ocean wave. And if the AC-Doocy naturally would keep the ends on the ends, center in the centers. If you call the AC-Doocy and spread, then the center 2 girls, if they trade, will spread apart. The boys will flop right into the center. Trade the AC-Doocy. Again, do and spread. That's what I meant. Do an AC-Doocy and spread again. All right? The thing about the AC-Doocy and spreading is significant in what way? Can you tell us? What? Right, it changes the waves from right to left and so on and so forth, which is really nice. Can anybody else offer any suggestions on, is there anybody that's using the walk and dodge differently, or that a technique that you use that can help us to make a more creative approach to how we use it? Yes? Yeah, that's neat too. He suggested to do a cast a shadow after the AC-Doocy and spread, which is great. You have to make sure that the setup, with that as being a shocker, you should make sure that when you choreograph it, that with the AC-Doocy and spread right into the cast a shadow, it would be helpful to the group initially, unless they're really tuned into all position, that you put the girls on the end. But that's another nice idea. Yes, sir? Yeah. Were you here in the beginning? Oh, the chain reaction. Oh, okay. All right. Yeah. All right, extend your tag, will you please? Okay. All right, the outsiders trade. I would say at the advanced level, the things that I do on the chain reaction are primarily to just change the turning of the star in the middle. I mean, there's cross chain reaction and things like that, but that's really way out. You have, and it's very hard. But the only chain reaction that I would use at the advanced level that might be different would be to turn the star 3/4. The basic move turns at 1/4. Is that correct? That's right, isn't it? Isn't it? Yeah. Okay. But the reason I go from 1/4 to 3/4 is simply because the same sexes will be coming out. Do a chain reaction, will you please? Turn your star 3/4. Boys, you got a long way to go. Meet another guy, turn him by the left 3/4, and the girl walk up. What I just said is exactly how I cue that when I call it. If I'm going to change the turning of that star. I'm going to do that again for you. Let's have all the boys run around the girl, do a Ferris wheel just for one time. Center 4, make an ocean wave, and listen to how it'll sound. Because the idea for me is to dance this group and not break them down, no matter what anybody says about me. Ready? Do a chain reaction. Go. Turn your star 3/4. Boys, you got a long way to go. Boy meet a boy, the girl move up. Boy turn 3, the girl walk. You're in great shape. Switch to a diamond. Psst. Psst. 4 girls, switch to a diamond. There's another way to create an hourglass. Most of the time you'll set the hourglasses up by having 2-faced lines and having the centers do a half a circulate. But using the diamond, switching to a diamond from the wave and then having the center wave gives you another hourglass, another easy way to set it up. But you investigate these things. You got to put your checkers down, you got to talk, you got to come to CALLERLAB, you got to find out how some of these things are done. Yeah, are there any questions out there? What's that? Yes. Well, oh yeah, let's go back to you, I'm sorry.
Yeah, Jerry Kopman from West Virginia. I agree with everything you're saying. When you start way out into that area, I think I visualize places that I can get into trouble. You talked about a linear cycle from a 3-in-1 line. I looked at that possibility and I agree with it as long as the neighbors are holding right hand. What is the situation if the neighbors are holding left hand?
Okay, then you call a left linear cycle and everything is left. And shall we do that for you? I'll do that right now for you if you like.
Well, I visualize the people as a couple doing a partner in.
Yeah, except that when you have a left hand wave and we ask you to do a partner hinge, you don't look to face right hand, you hinge with the left hand. Have the girls flip your diamond, okay? And everybody flip the diamond and trade the wave. If you have a left-hand wave and we ask you to do a hinge, is this what you're talking about?
My question.
Okay, what is it then?
3-in-1 line.
Right. You can't call it. You wouldn't call it. I mean, there are certain times you just can't call it because your traffic pattern will be in such a way. Let me show you. I'll show you right now. The girl in the center looking in, do a U-turn back, okay? These two people here will hinge right. The other people would hinge left. In this kind of a situation, you wouldn't call it. Because on a left-handed linear cycle, when you hinge left and you're looking out, you got to come down, you pass left shoulders, you peel left. Now, for one couple, that's fine. For the other one, not. So in this particular situation, you'd have to set it up that everybody would have to hinge with the right hand.
The reason I ask the question, I feel that's very important.
Absolutely.
You cannot just take everything and do anything you want to with it.
Of course. Now, what I did was there are certain restrictions on all our moves. You just can't use them from all the positions. There are some that are very flexible. But even with the flexibility, there are some limitations in terms of what you can do with them. You wouldn't call the linear cycle from this setup here. Okay? This is what I'm telling you. The people that have the left hand, do me a favor. Do a U-turn back just for now. Okay? This is possible. See, because everything is right. Let me show you something else. The people that are facing out as a couple, do a U-turn back. Will you, please? I probably would never call a linear cycle from this position. I would prefer to have those people that did the U-turn back facing out because it dances a little bit better that way. But just because, if you're hinging and it's right and somebody has lefts, unless you develop a specific pattern for that, if somebody hinges left and somebody hinges right, you have to go down. If you want to say, well, no matter what you hinge, if one is left and one is right, come down and pass right shoulders. If you want to do that, fine. I would stay away from that. So even though it's flexible, I mean, we can tear that move apart. It still has its limitations. Okay? That's a good question you had, though. Anybody else on some things here? Yes, Tim?
There's been a large increase in the use of left-handed material at the advanced level.
You want to speak up a little bit louder so they can... there's a large increase in the use of left-handed material at the advanced level.
Do you recommend more complex moves like chain reaction for normal advanced groups to use?
I would say no. I would not use left-handed chain reactions at the advanced level. I think when you start to get into that, I think you start to hit into C1 dancing. That's very difficult dancing. The chain reaction is a complex move. Unless you have a group that's very astute, that you feel they can do without too much of a hassle, that will not frustrate them too much, that's a judgment that you have to make. I can't make that for you. In terms of some of the groups that I have that are doing advanced level dancing, I would not call chain reaction left-handed. I don't bring that out until we hit the C2, 2.5 level. Bruce?
How much would you restrict your left-hand moves in the dance?
That again is judgment and how you feel about working left-handed moves. I don't sit down particularly to say I'm going to choreograph and work strictly left-handed. It doesn't work that way. Yeah, well, you know, everything depends on flow. I don't have it in my mind that I'm going to do 10% left and 90% right. If there's a left-handed move that's there and I think it flows and it fits and they can handle it, I'll use it. If not, then I'll just forget about it. You know, I don't sit down and figure out what percentage of left or rights I'm going to use. Anybody else? Yes, sir. Right. I'll show you what you do. Pass the boy on the end looking. Well, why don't you just circulate? Yes. All the girls with each other do a partner hinge. Everybody flip the diamond, okay? Spin the top. You're being a grand tidal wave now, okay? All right, now, how do you designate it? Well, first of all, you have to make sure that they know it from the two parallel waves. That's the key thing. And what I would say is, each wave on your own side. That's how I'll call it. Each wave on your own side, do a linear cycle. Hinge, the girl fold behind the guy, take a couple of steps, peel to the right, and you're in good shape. Okay? Anybody else have any? Yes, sir.
When you're working that linear cycle out of a wave, you're having either the girls or the boys follow, depending upon who's going forward. Can't you have those girls meet in the window something?
You could. That's exactly what I wanted to hear. Exactly what I want to hear. In other words, you can say, do your linear cycle, but when the girls meet, do something else. When you talk about creative choreography, you're right on the beam. Right on the beam. Let's see how that works. That was just terrific. I could remember, write that down, Edward. Make an ocean wave here, okay? Are you ready? Linear cycle, hinge, good. But the girls, when you meet, hold your wave and swing through. Boys, continue to do what you have to do. Now girls extend. Excellent. Log that. Give me your name and card. You're going to get booked a lot out of town. No question about that. All right? Why don't you all square up, okay? Good. Great job. That's just what I want to hear. Shh. The linear cycle is a move that has to start with a hinge, so you don't touch. So if you have this, have the heads pair off and slide through, will you please? If you want to call linear cycle here, your single hinges with the girl that's right next to you. So let's do a partner hinge. If you're looking out a fold, follow them down, peel to the right. It doesn't usually, it's not that smooth from that position. Do a half breathe through, will you please? And everybody pass through. You could do it from here. It'd probably be better here. See, the quarters and coming down would not be as close. But you can call the linear cycle here. Do a hinge. If you're looking out fold, follow them down and peel to the right. See? Good question, though. Square up, okay? Any other questions out there? Yes, sir.
At what point do you feel that we can be comfortable in beginning to fractionalize the calls of our advanced dancers? For example, linear cycle being a good example, trailers going 2/3, things of that.
That's a very personal thing. It depends on how far you want to take the group, you see. He said, at one point do we start to consider fractionalizing a move? I would immediately do with my group because I'm comfortable with them, I know what they can handle, and they're used to doing fractional moves. For somebody who is not used to that, I would say stay away from it. But if you think you can teach it well and they can understand it, and it fits into what other things you have, because when you do the fraction, would you like to see what a fraction on a linear cycle is, by the way? Are you interested in that? Let me show it to you so you know what we're talking about. You said no. You're just a dancer. Be quiet. That's right. His wife is the caller. Have the heads pair off again, okay? Make a wave. We've established that there are 3 parts to a linear cycle. And the first part is the hinge. Do that. And at this point here, the second part, we started to teach this as what we call the vertical tag, but we treated the business of the folding and going down as part number 2. So the first part was the hinge, and this, because initially the move was treated as the vertical tag all the way down, which is the way, in fact, the callers who work this at this level and also the higher levels, we say after you hinge you do your vertical tag down, except if it's left shoulders and you do a left vertical tag down. So we treat it as the second part, the vertical tag, which is to go all the way down. So go all the way down, that's the second part, that's 2. And then the girls pass, now stop. And part number 3 in the basic move is to have everybody peel to the right. But in this case here, if you said do your linear cycle and the girls go 2/3 only, the girls would stop here and just the boys would peel to the right. Do that. Girls should be passed by each other, okay? And what it does is it creates a block. But that's above the advanced level, and I just wanted to point it out to you, and I don't want to get into that, okay? Square your set. Any other questions? Yes, sir.
That kind of stuff there really gives me a bad problem.
I would stay away from it then.
Well, I mean, you're saying 2/3. Now,
Yeah.
the directions I've always read on it never said anything about that vertical tag. It had that fold and double pass through, and I see that as a 4-part move.
I agree. The move was originally written with that, and what we felt that the move was so good that it had good mainstream possibilities that we wanted to break it down so that it could be attractive to the mainstream group. And that's the way it was done, and most of the guys are not calling the 2/3. I really don't want to harp on that. But I agree. I agree with you on that. But what we try to do is apply it because it had good, strong possibilities at the mainstream level, and that's the way we're doing it. It's the hinge, the fold, all the way down and peel to the right.
Then you must have to establish some better communication to get it in the boondocks where I live. I mean, that's fine for you fellows that are always together every week.
Yeah, I'm not going to argue with you on that. There's no question about it. Use it the way it was recommended by CALLERLAB, and whoever asked me the question about the 2/3, leave the room. Yeah. Let's break for coffee. We'll come back, okay?
One announcement before we leave. There will be another advanced choreography session tonight after all the ceremonies are concluded. It's a kind of a question-answer type thing. If you have questions on how to teach a move or how to best use a move, there will be a number of advanced callers in the Caribbean room. That's right off the lobby.